So you've just returned from a college visit and you're all fired up to write a follow-up note or to make a follow-up phone call to the admissions office, and you're not sure how best to do this. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael J. Youmans, founder and director at College Prep Express, and this video is on how to make a follow-up phone call or write a follow-up note to a college admissions office. Now, before you make a follow-up call or write a follow-up note, obviously you have to visit the school. It's really important when you visit the school to accomplish 3 things if you can. Number 1, you want to attend what's called an information session, or sometimes referred to as the info session. Secondly, you want to take a tour of the college, which the admissions office sets up. And then thirdly, you want to try to have an interview, so which you can do by making a request for an interview in the admissions office. If they tell you they don't offer campus interviews, you want to ask for an alumni interview. Now, once you've done these things and you're really excited to go to the college, you want to communicate that excitement in an enthusiastic note or phone call back to the admissions office after you return home from the visit. Now, when should you do this? Good question, glad you asked. You want to do it very soon after the visit. I would say the very next business day. You want to show them that you're eager and that you're excited to go there, and the best way to do that is not to wait. You don't want to procrastinate on this task. Your note should absolutely be enthusiastic and energetic. It's also really important, this is probably the most important thing, it needs to be specific. You don't want to give them any canned or generic phrases about how they're your first choice or thanks for taking time to sit down with me. That's what everybody says. What you want to do is distinguish yourself from the huge numbers of other students applying for admission to this school by communicating your specific interest. Maybe it was something you learned from the info session, some new department that they're rolling out, or some new course or new professor they've hired. Maybe it's a new club sport that they're starting. Perhaps it's a new library that they've just added in a field of particular interest to you. Whatever the case may be, you want to include specific information. Now, how do you decide whether you should write a handwritten note or send an email or actually make a phone call? That's another good question. Glad you asked. If somebody at the school actually takes the time to sit down with you for 15-20 minutes or more, then you owe it to them as a courtesy to write a handwritten thank you note. You're essentially thanking them for taking the time to take a special interest in your candidacy. But again, you also want to remember to include specifics from that conversation. That's the best way to get them to remember who you are, is to remind them of something that came up in the conversation. Remember, you're developing a relationship here. If, on the other hand, you only were able to have a 5-minute conversation with somebody, maybe a professor or perhaps an admissions officer or even your tour guide, and you were able to get a business card or an email address, then by all means send an email. If you weren't able to get any names or emails, but you did visit the school and attend the info session, then you can call the admissions office, ask to speak to an admissions officer, particularly the regional director or a regional officer who's involved with making decisions about students applying from your region of the country. Again, just to summarize, the most important thing is to be specific. The more specific your phone call, or the more specific your email, the more specific your thank you note, the more memorable it'll be and the stronger impression you'll make, and that's the name of the game here. Again, I'm Dr. Michael J. Youmans, founder and director at College Prep Express, and this video has been about how to make an effective follow-up call or write an effective follow-up note to a college admissions office.